Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the hallowed stage of the fake news auditorium where I said to the hallowed stage of the fake news auditorium. Thank you. As I was saying, I am Bent Krockman, your host at the annual Fake News Awards. As I hope you know by now, if you don't, please go to CorbettReport.com and type in Fake News Awards into the search bar so you can find the previous 7 editions of this annual award show hosted by myself. And if and when you do catch up on the Fake News Awards, you'll know all about the Dinos of dishonor that we give to the biggest dissemblers in the establishment dinosaur media over the previous year in a variety of categories. But in case you don't know about the Fake News Awards, or in case you want to wet your whistle for the upcoming Fake News Awards, which I am busily preparing for you right now and which will be out very, very shortly at CorbettReport.com, I thought we'd flash back to last year's award ceremony, specifically to the bestowing of the greatest shame of them all, the fake news story of the year, which you will recall for the fake news story of 2023, that dishonor went to Benjamin Netanyahu. If you don't recall that, or if you need to be refreshed in your memory on that, well, let's flash back to that, the climax of the 7th annual Fake News Awards. Meanwhile, I have to get back to preparing the 8th annual Fake News Awards, which will be coming very shortly. Stay tuned. Stay on the edge of your seat. It will be dropping at CorbettReport.com any day now. Come on, what kind of Penny Annie, Mickey Mouse... Sorry about this, guys. Still ironing out some of the bugs. Anyway, enjoy the flashback. Oh, come on! And the winner is... It's empty. The envelope is empty. I get it. This is some kind of meta-commentary on the pointlessness of this fake news endeavor, isn't it? A metaphor for the empty souls and vacant hearts of the warmongers. A reflection on... Wait. What's that? In my pocket? Every year, I tell you. And the award for Fake News Story of the Year goes to... Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for Hamas ISIS is sick. They turn hospitals into headquarters for their terror. We just released intelligence proving it. Here it is. Yes, the fact that Prime Minister Netanyahu's digital lips were moving should have been the first sign that he was about to lay down a giant turd in the punch bowl of the October 7th false flag fallout. But if that wasn't enough, then the proof that he offered for his claim that Hamas ISIS, which isn't a thing, by the way, and Netanyahu should know because he helped create both, was turning hospitals into headquarters for their terror, should have sent the blaring klaxons of alarm off even in the most gullible rubes. Yes, this creepily silent computer-generated, intelligence-based illustration of what Nutty Yahoo and his IDF mercenaries fantasize exist underneath Al-Shifa Hospital is every bit as convincing as a child's drawing of the monster that exists under his bed when mommy turns the lights out at night, and it does not cross the threshold of proof by any conceivable stretch of the imagination, even in Nutty Yahoo's wildest genocidal fantasies. In fact, so scant is this supposedly smoking gun proof that I have now spent longer talking about it than the video itself, so we're watching it again and again. Yes, this really scrapes the bottom of the barrel when it comes to fake news nonsense, doesn't it? And, in a highly unusual move, here to accept the award via live satellite link from DJO is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
First of all, I would like to thank James Corbett and, of course, that West. I am the best at murder and for killing many people. Whee! For this award, I would like to thank Bruce Dickinson. How did I do it? What you need in a fake crisis is for all the misinformation to be constant. Set fire to a woman, and suddenly it doesn't matter who's bombing the hospitals. Well, we have to kill them and ceasefire after. I eat babies, for crying out loud. I think they're making a mockery of us. This is all staged. I set fire to hospitals for freedom. Everyone is safe and alive in our fridge. Well, it. I mean, those organs are not going to traffic themselves. Well, what do you say? Well, say you, James, and you guys. We know this award is fake news. In fact, there is no James Corbett. Well, not for long.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. A stirring speech indeed, well worthy of a standing ovation. Your country must be so proud. But, come to think of it, this hospital terrorist proof video you tweeted about, it kind of reminds me of another startling bit of proof we were subjected to way back in the early years of the War of Terror.
There was constant discussion about him hiding out in caves, and I think many times the American people have a perception that it's a little hole dug out of a side of a mountain.
Oh, no.
This is it. This is a fortress.
Yes.
A complex, multi-tiered, bedrooms and offices on the top, as you can see. Secret exits on the side and on the bottom. Cut deep to avoid thermal detection. A ventilation system to allow people to breathe and to carry on. The entrance is large enough to drive trucks and even tanks. Even computer systems and telephone systems. It's a very sophisticated operation.
Oh, you bet. This is serious business. And there's not one of those. There are many of those.
Ah, that's it. This comic book supervillain cave video tweeted out by Netanyahu has exactly as much credibility as Rumsfeld's comic book Qaeda Phantasm, which is to say, none whatsoever. And as we saw in the ensuing weeks, this proof tweet was followed up by another smoking gun. Pictures of a hole in the ground, and a stunning video of an empty tunnel shaft underneath the hospital. Having secured this deadly terrorist site, the Israelis then threw open the doors to the tunnel, showed the terror mastermind's headquarters, and put all doubts to rest. Oh wait, no, they didn't. They strictly controlled foreign media and put out staged, crafted, managed, controlled PR videos showing a single rifle and, gasp, an MRI machine in a hospital. You know your fake news story isn't flying very well when even the lying liars at the BBC are unconvinced by your self-evident sham.
Well, BBC Verify has been examining the different sources of information that we have on this. Israel describes the Al-Shifa hospital as the main headquarters for Hamas's terrorist activity. This IDF animation, posted in late October, claims to represent a Hamas tunnel system underneath the hospital. But having been inside Al-Shifa since early Wednesday, Israel's yet to produce evidence of the tunnels. It has allowed the BBC and Fox News to film at the hospital, though only locations of Israel's choice.
This is what they found.
Israel also released its own 7-minute video, which BBC Verify has analysed. A watch, visible in that video, suggests it was filmed a few hours before the BBC arrived. And this IDF video was posted, then deleted, then reposted, this time without a section referring to an Israeli soldier who'd been held hostage.
I don't know when this was used the last time.
Also in the video, we see a room with an MRI machine.
And if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you will be able to see is military equipment.
The BBC was shown the same room. And what we see in the two videos doesn't precisely match. For example, there's one gun in the IDF video, two by the time of the BBC footage. Israel has told BBC Verify this is because more weaponry and terrorist assets were discovered throughout the day.
And as always, an AK-47.
Israel also says its video is a single shot with no edits. But this appears to be an edit. We don't know the reasons for that edit, nor how significant it is. The IDF, though, says suggestions it's manipulating the media are incorrect. The IDF video also shows military equipment in other locations. though we can't verify how it came to be there. And what we see in this IDF video doesn't equate to Israel's description of Al-Shifa as an operational command center for Hamas. Israel is adamant this hospital was a command center, but for now, at least, it's either not found supporting evidence or it's not sharing it.
Well, not exactly the scenes of lush, well-appointed and closely guarded terrorist meeting rooms envisioned in the original proof. Still, this was definitely proof that something involving an MRI machine happened under that hospital, and did you see those empty tunnels? Well, guess what? It turns out that, just like Hamas itself, the tunnels were actually built by the Israelis. That's right. Turns out ex-Israeli PM and known Jeffrey Epstein associate Ehud Barak said the quiet part out loud in an interview with leading fake news correspondent Christine Amanpour.
Well, when you say it was built by Israeli engineers, did you misspeak?
No, decades ago we were running the place. So we held them. It was many decades ago, probably 4 decades ago, that we helped them to build these bunkers in order to enable more space for the operation of the hospital within the very limited size of this compound.
Okay, all right. Well, that's sort of thrown me a little bit.
That's all, folks. That's sort of thrown me a little bit. Are you getting this? Do you see how all of this works? No, well, here's the big capper to the big joke. November 17th, 2023. U.S. will not share intel on Hamas and Al-Shifa Hospital, White House. The United States will not share any Israeli intelligence or elaborate on its own intelligence assessment that Hamas used Gaza's Al-Shifa Hospital as a command center and possibly as a storage facility, White House spokesman John Kirby said on Thursday. The United States is confident in an assessment from its own intelligence agencies on Hamas activities in the Gaza facility, Kirby said. He has refused to elaborate or provide details over the past several days. Hilarious! And do I even need to bother with the inevitable denouement of this twisted tale of untruth? By the end of December, even the Washington Post was forced to admit that the Israeli proof of this terror HQ under the hospital falls short of actual proof, raising critical questions about whether the civilian harm caused by Israelis' military operations against the hospital, encircling, besieging, and ultimately raiding the facility and the tunnel beneath it, were proportionate to the assessed threat. Do you see this? Are you laughing? Do you find this funny? Neither do I. Murder, genocide, bombing innocent women and children, and using computer-generated fantasies about rifle-wielding MRI scanners to justify it. Look at the faces of the innocents who died as a result of these lies and tell me the price was worth it. Go on, Benny. I dare you. Madeleine Albright would do it.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
And somehow, in the long, ignoble career of unconvicted war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu, from his NUMEC nuclear smuggling to his admissions about 9/11 to his drawn-out criminal prosecution for bribery and corruption, he has managed to find a way to sink even lower. October 7th and the Hannibal Directive. Beheaded babies. An evil terrorist headquarters under a hospital. It's all fair game, right? Israel's 9/11 indeed. I don't expect the International Court of Justice is going to really be throwing Netanyahu or any of his buddies behind bars for their war crimes. In fact, it would only be amazing if the case even proceeds to a conclusion. But I do know one thing. The world is awake. Just like Brzezinski warned, the global political awakening is happening. People are aware like never before that the murderous politicians and the deep state interests that they represent are liars, and that the mainstream media only exists to spread fake news in service of the globalist agenda. And I can vow that as long as there is air left in these lungs, I will continue calling out these liars and their fake news lapdogs for what they are. And I'm not the only one. And hey, Benny and all of the lying liars in the fake news corporate-controlled media who helped propagate this and a million other fake news stories in 2023. You know why we call them the Dinos? Because you are the leftover remnants of a bygone era. You're already extinct. You just don't know it yet. And that's the 7th Annual Fake News Awards, everybody! Thanks so much for joining us for this celebration. And remember, stop concentrating on fake news and the fake talking heads who peddle it, and start concentrating on what you can do to make positive change in this world. That's the only way to kick these liars in the nuts. Until next time, everybody. Well, it looks like this award ceremony was put together at the dollar store, and that's because it was. Put that in your little bag of outtakes. All right.